All right. This morning we're going to get going with more of this configuration Go programming. This is just kind of a co-working video series. It's really nothing organized here, so please don't. Dobra jutra. Please don't misunderstand. If you want me to go faster, you're in the wrong place. Okay? We just do things slowly and we meticulously. If you do have questions, though, go ahead and ask. I'll try to stop and ask during this kind of thing. This is kind of my weekend activity, so I can ask if you might ask questions during a co-working stream when this is co-learning. But if I was like, if I was actually, at work, I wouldn't be able to answer, but I can answer here. There've been schedule changes. Make sure you check the schedule every time. I'm going to be changing it up a little bit. I think I'm pushing it too hard with the 3-hour stream, so I'll pull it back to 2, a couple of them. And the goal for today is to re-architect or redesign, whatever you want to call it, the struct to have all the information in it when it's created. So if you watch the whole playlist from the beginning, you remember we kind of was some debate about whether we should just use a struct or we should create a pseudo constructor here for it, whether we should use the interface at all, et cetera, et cetera. And all of that's been really good, but the creation of the constructor here, which is a constructor is a function that returns a new one of a thing, is going to be, yeah, I like the aquarium. Yeah, that's been around forever. It's just a branded version of it for that actually Key macro help with. So what I'm trying to say here is we have this function that returns a new one. So, and we have to do that if we're going to we have that so we can put a mutex in here and be able to lock it and all of that stuff. So the mutex itself is initialized, so that's not really an issue. So here's the actual struct. Let's go back to the struct. So this is the interface. We'll come back to that too. So this is the struct that implements the map interface. That means that you have a solid struct that makes sure to have all of the methods that are defined by the composite interface up here, which is made up of a bunch of single method interfaces, all of which just define that it has to have a method and what the conditions are of having that. So if somebody else wants to make something that fulfills the map interface, they have all the stuff they need in their own struct. And then we go ahead and make a struct that fulfills it so they have something to use. And I'm going to say this a lot anytime I do Go coding, but the idiomatic Go way to do things is to pass in an interface into argument. When you call in a function, you pass an argument that is a interface and you return a struct. And the struct can be something that fulfills an interface, but you always return a struct, almost always. That's a really important thing. If you don't do that, it'll tangle you up too much eventually, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you do it wrong, because you'll get really confused. I have done this. So here we have our original struct. Now the two things we added is we added a name and we added a file. So the name is consistent with most of the stuff goes into the config. So this is a refresh of what we're doing here. So according to the Free Desktop Foundation, you should put all your configuration stuff in home.config, or you have xdg config home set as an environment variable, and that thing takes over, and that's all been captured in os.user config home, which is a function method you can call from the standard library. A function you can call from the standard library. Hi.
Do you want fried rice?
No. And so then we have within the config file, we have a bunch of a config directory. We have a bunch of other subdirectories, right? And this is the standard. So you see lots of things store their values in here. And that is the name. So that's consistent with the name. The reason I showed you that is because that's what the name is. The name is the name of the directory that goes inside of .config when it gets created. And by default, the constructor new struct new map will set it. It will set it to whatever the name of your executable is. So if I create an executable called foo, it'll be .config/foo. And so that's now covered. And then we have the file. So the original intent of the file was to allow people to put more than one thing, more than one configuration file, and split it over many files within the same name directory. So technically, you could have multiple files that are part of a single configuration, but they would all be in different maps, right? So you'd have several maps that belong to the same configuration because they would be linked up by name, but they would be in different files. There's some question as to whether that's even valuable or not. Part of me wants to say we should just hard code one and then go with it and never allow it to be changed after that. And I don't know. I kind of feel like that's the way to go. I mean, we don't. I guess the baseline question, and this is a question for everybody, is: do you think people will want to have more than one configuration file inside of their .config/foo directory? And if they do, the file would be the indicator of separation. So each map struct would synchronize one-to-one with the file in there. And by default, the file name is values. But if somebody wanted to make a different file, they could make any file that they wanted there. So that, we can keep that. I don't even know if it's going to be used that much, but that does allow for somebody to use this thing to split configuration across two files. Maybe they have a bigger one and they have one that's going to be accessed more frequently than another one. So I'm kind of anticipating needs that I don't have yet, but it's always a bad idea, by the way. And so that's the idea behind the file. Well, and then we have the way to get to the default, right? And that logic that says, hey, this is where we're going to put this thing, that logic is contained outside of Map Struct because that is a function that needs to be called anytime to kind of say, hey, this is where this thing lives. And that's when we got into kind of a little bit of trouble because we have kind of a chicken and egg scenario going on when we look at lib. So the lib file here it has these functions that I don't particularly like anymore. At the home one we absolutely have to have. So remember, this is going to be conf.home. So conf.home returns the value from user configure, which I said before. We can look at what that is. That's actually important, and that's not home.config. That's home.config/foo, right? Or if you set the environment variable to whatever, temp foo or whatever. So that's good. That gets us into the directory. And that's really the only big thing that we need. I'm sorry, that gets us into .config, but not into I take it all back. It doesn't go into .config home. Foo. So then we have this thing over here. This is the thing that was going to map up the default location, the home, with the name of the executable. And we don't need this anymore because this was fundamentally tied on the idea, these exe and exe.dir file stuff, that was fundamentally tied to the idea of making, having the maps not know their name or anything, having them always, and you have to use the name from the executable file, but it doesn't make sense to do that because it might be you might want to be able to work with, I already know there's one use case where I will want to be able to work with configuration files from another executable, and I want to be able to change that. So we made those properties of the map struct. So name, net name, file name. I kind of feel like we should just call this file, and then we should use path. I think I know what we're going to do here. So let's change this to file and set file, and then we'll change it to we'll have something called path, which will take you straight to the file, like the full path, right? So this is the file name, and I think that'll be fine. We do have this other one down here. So this one, before I was going to have file be the join thing. I think we should make this path. So this will give you, so calling path. Now, okay, so this is where we departed yesterday from whether we wanted to have path be in our variable list or not. And if we wanted to save it. So there's two ways to do this. One of them is to always use xdg conf for all of the stuff. And another one is to hard code. So there's two approaches, and I'm still struggling between the two. One of them is to hard code the path at the time of construction and allow the user to change it. So it would never change at that point, right? So let's think of some use cases where we wouldn't want to do that. So let's say the user says, they're using a config thing, and they create a new map struct, and they save some stuff, and it gets saved into one directory. And then later on, they want to take that exact same thing and store it someplace else. Well, they could change the home location using xdg-conf environment variable, and then they could save it to some other place. And that would change where it goes. From that point on, so you could use it as a method of migrating locations for configuration files. You create one at the current location, change the xdg config home, and then save it, and it will save it in the new place. You can just copy it as well, but that's one of the possibilities. So I'm trying to decide what's more valuable. Would it be more valuable to lock down the configuration at a given location when it's constructed, and then in which case we would capture whatever the xdg, whatever conf that home, whatever the return value of that is, we would lock it down at that moment, and we would say, okay, you belong to the map struct now. That is your, that is where you will always be saved. We don't have to look this up anymore, which would be more efficient because I don't have to do the calls to do the home every time. It would definitely be more efficient to do that. And then if you wanted to set it again, you would have to refresh it, and if we did that, we would want to internally put something like path. This would be a private variable that nobody would ever see. We would never be able to. You couldn't change the path. I guess we could let them change the path. The problem is we want the path to be the sum of the name and the file combined, and we only want that. So if somebody changes the name, we would want to change the path, right? If they change the file, we would want to change the path. So the path is kind of a variable that's derived from these other two things, plus the full path to the directory, which you could also just do this way by having the directory be saved internally. And this would be, the home dir. This would be the directory. So we'd have directory name and file. If we did it this way, then if they change the directory, we could have the path be derived, and then therefore, and this would be set dir, get dir. I think we need to have this. Now the more I think about it, I think we need to do it this way. And I'll talk about why in a second. So now we have dir and set dir. So this is the directory. This is like the home directory. I mean, if we did map, it could be let's see, map.home. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do home instead, because then it's consistent. Now people know exactly what to expect, right? So this is the home where it lives. Now we got 3 letters and everything. So the home name and file. All right. So that's actually a settable property, which is going to need an interface definition, which we'll add later. In fact, I could probably just add it here. So we'd have a home, a name, and a file. And then I can just add more interfaces for this. So let's just do this really quick. So the home implements a meta variable home to capture, to contain the full path to the config home directory, configuration home directory containing the directory, the subdirectory containing a subdirectory directory named exactly to match the name. So yeah, I mean, type home interface, and we'll do the same thing. Home returns a string. Set home is a string. All right, so we have home name, and then we have the file. Now, yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways of doing this, but that's what we're going to do. So, and then the file implements a meta variable file that contains the name of the file within the name subdirectory containing the name of the file within the name subdirectory containing the data. Key equals value data. By default, this file must be values. By default, I'm going to put the default. The default must be values. All right, so type file, and I'm glad I slept on this because now I know exactly what I want. Can I just tell you, people, I mean, I might be a little groggy, but it's always better to sleep on an idea before making a serious thing and then wake up and use fresh brain power, look at it fresh, or have a friend come take a look at it. Because if you try to make a decision when you're kind of not really clear, you end up screwing stuff up. It seems like a relatively simple thing, although a lot of people are like, why is he spending so much time with it? You can understand this library that I'm going to make, the other one, the one that's replacing, is already embedded in like 8 different projects of mine, just my projects. So I don't want it to be, wrong when people have to rip it out later, because it's going to change. This is the basis of all home configuration for everything that I use, and it's a big part of my command box project as well. So that's why I'm going to do it this way. All right, so home name and file. All right, so this value must be the base name of the current OS executable. Home implements a variable home to contain a subdirectory name exactly to match the name. By default, this value must be the returned value of os.userconfig home. So this is cool because this does allow them to change the home if they want to. If they change the home, it'll start writing to a different place. Named exactly to match the name. By default, this value must be the return value of user config home. Yeah, people are yelling in my house. Sorry about that. Kind of noisy out there. All right, so lib home is user config dir. User config dir, that's what it is. Okay. User config dir. All right, so now we got our interfaces defined, and I got to clean up some stuff. So we got home, name, file, raw, print, dir. We don't actually need a dir anymore. We need path. path is a good one. Um, yeah, I mean, because we need the full path that pulls all of these together, right? So the config, so this would be map struct dot path. It would be like the full path to the whole thing. Kind of want to say file path, but you know, no, we could say uh, file path set file. I mean, well, it should be either. I mean, yeah, let's just keep it as path. What is the? I mean, we could do path or file path. No, I'm just gonna do path. Yeah. Full path, file path. We'll just put full path. It returns join, and this is going to join m.dir. It's going to join m.home, m.dir, end file. And that's it. Nothing much special beyond that. And that's so we can, that's just a convenience routine. That's all it is. And I think that's going to do it. I think that's going to cover everything. So I'm going to have to go rip up the exe that I screwed up in the 118 and the other stuff, but that's totally fine. This is fine. So where's it giving us that? So we have exe.dir file. Okay, so yeah. So when we read from a map struct, this has got really easy actually. Yeah, I love this. So all we have to do now is do, this is why I want to do this. The read reads from the default location, okay? And we don't need to mess with all the other stuff because we can pull that every time with the path. And we do have to parse it every time, so it almost would be worth caching it. But if we have to do that, we can do that yesterday. Chili and eye opener, thanks for that. The don't go to college. Well, that's just me, but you know, I know a lot more now than I did before, and it's more expensive. Thanks for that. So, read file. We're gonna do read file. We're gonna do m dot. No, we don't need an m. Oh, you know what? I see what's up now. Read has got to become a method now. Yep. You know why? Because I don't know how to read it, because the information about how to get to it is now contained in the thing. So now read makes much more sense as a method, if you follow what I'm saying there. Okay, that things are falling together in place. This is making me very happy, because some of this stuff was not particularly clear up front. So here's our map struct. This means we're going to actually have to change some things. So it means the definition of our, we're going to have to say that it has a reader and a writer. Reader and writer. All right, so file type. Hi, how's it going? Reader implements a read method. A read method that, where did I put the documents for that already? I think I did. Yep. I'm gonna put this up here now. Read Hacktoberfest. Yeah, I don't ever do those things. That sounds fun, but I don't do them. I'm sure it'd be fun for somebody, but I don't need an excuse to code. Sorry. Reader implements the read method that returns a new struct. No. That that reads, reader implements the read method that reads the file from its, and all these interfaces is this breakdown of the interfaces. I'm doing that primarily for the documentation reasons. It does not, there's no requirement for it to be done that way. I just like it because it's easier to document. And there's no performance hit because that's all taken care of by the compiler. 16 processors, lucky. So the reader implements a read method that reads and initializes the internal struct from its default from its default source. In the case of, let's see, from its default source, in the case of this package that is, I'm going to put map.path in this case. So I don't want to force people to implement the reader that way. They can implement it however they want. You're very confused. Where can I watch Boost videos after 42? Nowhere. There's no thing after day 42. I'm sorry. I stopped because it was getting too deep. We need to do network stuff. We need to do Vim and tmux, and I'll come up and fix up on that stuff. But I might just keep going with the days for that specific year. I might just keep going with the days because we started with the days. But the problem with the days is that people weren't able to keep up and stuff. So we might have to go after it. But the day, people seem to like the day format for that particular thing. We got to day 42, we were talking about networking. I was like, man, this could go so many different directions. I don't know if I want to cover all of it that way, So there's lots of other content. If you want to go on YouTube, there's a bunch of other like individual videos that are smaller. They're not these big, long, bloated videos, right? I started making individual videos after that, like tiny videos instead of these big, 90-minute, 60-minute videos. And so that's kind of where that was going. Still plan to do that, actually. So reader implements a read method that reads and initializes the internal struct for its default source. Type reader. I do that stuff. I talk about Boost stuff and content on weeknights when I can. This job I have now is much harder, but still doing it. All right, so reader has to have a read method. That's it. Writer implements a write method that writes the internal struct state to a default file location, map.path in this case. All right, type writer interface, right. There's so many paths, but it may have like a guide on which paths to follow. Yeah, I have that. So the thing I've been working on lately is creating the thing I've been working on lately is creating an outliner that provides it all. And that's when the whole idea of badges came back because of the scope. If you want, I've been writing all about that. I've been trying to find the perfect digestible amount of content to understand. In Boost, GitHub examples, use images of Linux and USB. No. All those will be coming short form videos. What are you talking about? So all the contents you talked in Boost GitHub example using image of Linux in USB. That's a long time ago. I don't know if I'm ever going to make a USB sample. I cannot find the color scheme that tell me where I can find that. It's just look at my dot files. Look through my dot files. This is a Tmux thing. Probably the most popular request over the last week has been a 10-minute video about my workflow. So it talks about all of the pieces and then gives you kind of an overview of it all. And then you can like drill down into the pieces you want to add, including color scheme. People have been asking about color scheme. They've been asking me about, fonts, what Go tools they're using, how are you doing the testing. They have a lot of specific questions, but they're all fundamentally tied to, this higher arching thing. I've done so many videos on the workflow, attempted anyway, and every time I do, for some reason I don't cover all of it, and so I'm left with questions about what window manager you use. I don't care. I don't use one. That kind of thing. And plus that's a moving target because I change it all the time. You want the workflow video. A lot of people want the workflow video. I think it's probably the most one. Another thing I want to do, there's so many things I want to do. I really want to put a way for people to upvote. You know how Twitch, I don't know if you know this, but Twitch on their API, they have a page you can go to and you can vote for the stuff you want. So somebody can submit what they want, and then everybody can upvote the things that they want the most. And so the most popular items are the things that Twitch adds to their API first. And now that I'm working full time and I'm playing Witcher and relaxing a little bit, which I didn't used to do, there's not really time. So I need to prioritize what you guys really want, what you want above everything else, in addition to what I think you need. So that's all coming. Having a Windows laptop so it makes good use to Ubuntu image through putting on USB. If yes, what size of USB will be preferable? Are you talking about booting from a USB stick? Mohit, it sounds like you are. It sounds like you're talking about booting Linux from a USB, right? Yeah. That's part of the choose your own adventure thing. There's so many ways to get Linux, and they all are fraught with risk of different kinds. We had somebody yesterday tell us all about how they got their laptop and they put Linux on it and it doesn't work. The Wi-Fi doesn't work because it's got a Broadcom, Wi-Fi device. There's no way to know that unless you try to install it. Now he's got to put Windows back on there because it didn't work. So this is why I need to move to a choose your own adventure, because everybody's coming at this with different skill sets. There's people who've been, so rather in the past I've said, okay, this is the way that I suggest, and I'm going to say, okay, for all beginners, this is the primary path I recommend, but here's all the things you can consider. Make your own choice, but own it, right? And then go here and here and here. And that is coming. I swear to God, that's coming. Because I already did that. You can go look through some of the very beginning pages of the Boost and get that. Yeah, there's a lot to do here. And a lot of it, I also want to webify the content, get it out of GitHub. That's what this is about, by the way. This conf-go thing I'm writing is helping me get to the tool that'll help to do that. So, yeah, but there's only so many hours in the day, and I'm going on a date with my wife today. So, I think probably the biggest thing I've contributed over the last 2 weeks has been getting in front of the camera again. So even if you don't understand what I'm doing, at least you have something to see. And that frustrates some people. We had somebody come in the other day who was pretty frustrated, like, hurry, get on with it. And I'm like, you don't understand, I don't even have to be here right now. It's like, I got chatty and stuff like that. I was like, look, it's better for me to be chatty and have you get at least something out of this than have nothing at all and depend only on YouTube videos. Somebody in YouTube says, hey, can you suggest, I want to make a career in pen testing in 15. 15, no Golang, C, and assembly. Now I've created multiple small pen testing tools. Nice. Many courses don't know. There's no way to learn what you want to do. There's nothing that's going to teach you that. You're going to have to teach yourself. People have been teaching themselves all throughout history. So do you think like Edison taught himself, had somebody teach him how to do electricity? No. Seriously, if you're 15 and you're the kind of go-getter who's like learn Go and C and assembly and everything like that, you're going to be fine. What I would tell you to learn how to do is learn how to break in. I would learn. It just depends on what you want to do. Do you want to just hack on the side, or do you want to make money at it? You know, if you ever want to be paid for your hacking, you're going to have to get a few certificates. I hate to put it that way, but that's what the industry wants. You're going to have to, particularly if you're 15. If you're, look, I made a video what I would do if I was young. I wouldn't go to college, but particularly if you want to go into pen testing and security, if you're 15, 16, 17, and you're like awesome, you got to prove to everybody else you're awesome, and you can't do that by pointing them to your GitHub because you can't show all your hacks in GitHub. What do you got left? Reputation? Yeah, well, the hacker community thinks I'm pretty awesome, so you should hire me. Doesn't work. You have to create trust with your potential employer, and so you got to do kind of like mainstream boring things to do that, such as the OSCP or any OSCP is a cert I would suggest. Maybe getting an A+ if you feel you need it. That's just an easy beginner level cert. My point is, if you're going to be a hacker and you're going to get into security, you have to create trust with a boring HR department in a company that's going to pay you, and that the hackers you're going to work with they probably think that's crap and they don't care, but it doesn't matter because the only reason you're getting the certificate is to prove to the HR people and the pointy hair bosses that you can do it. So I would suggest if you really like hacking and you want a degree, I would strongly recommend the WGU cybersecurity degree. Western Governors University, United States. It's a completely pay-as-you-go, and it includes 25 certificates, which would by itself pay for the cost of the university pretty much. They're so expensive. So if you truly want to go the cybersecurity route and you're young and you just want to knock it out, I would either get an OSCP certificate, which is really expensive and hard to get, but worth it because that'll open the door for you, or I would get a WGU degree in cybersecurity. That's my recommendation. I have I've never been officially paid to be a pen tester, by the way. So you might want to ask some actual pen testers. A few different ones. Some that came from military, some that came from the darknet. Because the ones that come from military have very specific ideas about the way you should do things. And the ones that come from the darknet are like, fuck all that. I'm not doing any of that. So you need to combine them. By the way, the darknet hackers are almost always better than the military hackers. Almost always. So I got banned from somebody's stream on Twitch for suggesting that they didn't have to get any of these certificates this person was peddling and it was getting sponsored by. They banned me for it. I said, you don't need to do any of that. You can learn all that on your own by doing CTFs and Carnegie Mellon's Pico CTF and doing this and that. You don't even have to use Hack the Box to try hack me. You can use Hack the Box and try hack me are the traditional ways to get this. If you're going to go for pen testing, almost today, they're going to expect you to have some sort of activity on Hack the Box to try hack me. Today they are. It doesn't matter what I think of it. And if you do end up doing that, let me know because I actually have a friend who works to try hack me now. No, Hack the Box, sorry. Hack the Box is harder and better than try hack me. But you don't need any of that stuff. You can do all that on your own. You just have to be you got to be much more organized. What's a programmer's favorite note? Lol. I know this joke. I just can't remember the punchline. C#, yeah. I thought that was coming. Chris Nova did a whole thing. Chris Nova has a whole thing on that. I'm actually pretty good. All right, so but I want to start as a Unix system, and if you like that work, then get the Linux Foundation certificate first. That's my answer, because it's a lab and it's not a the LPIC. There's two certs in the Linux space. Stay the fuck away from Linux Plus or whatever the fuck the Pearson certificate is. It's a piece of shit. If you're gonna do the Linux space. Actually, if you're going to do the operation space, go watch my video, what I would do if I were 18. I go through every single thing that I would do, including A+. If you're going to go into infrastructure, you got to know hardware too. So you got to do that with A plus or the equivalent of it. Go watch that video. I have a video on that. What I would do if I was 18 or something. Watch that video and do that. So we're coding Go right now. Yes, someone earlier. To get a Red Hat cert in Linux, absolutely. Yeah, particularly if you're going to do Red Hat. I wouldn't get Red Hat myself. I would if I were doing it. The only Linux cert that I would get would be the Linux Foundation certificate. Yeah, they're super expensive. They're not worth the money. That's what I'm saying. That they're not. People, they're not. Okay, I actually wrote about this. I'm going to pull it up again. Again, I'm getting a lot of questions about what I would do right now. So go look at this. I did a video on this. There's a link in this to the video. The questions that you guys are asking me are related to this. All right, whether you go to college or not, go look at that video. And look, I'm see this is the video here. Okay, the cert list is in here. There's a certificate list that I suggested here that actually I had a bunch of people review as well. Here's the certs I would get in order. I would get Linux Foundation Certified IT Associate. I would get the A+. It's not here yet. Where is A+? The first thing I would get is A+. If you don't have any certificates and you're 15 and you're trying to get a job, get A+ first. Get A+. I hate the fucking thing, but it's just a very well-established entryway certificate in the US anyway. And then get Linux Foundation Certified Associate, which is kind of like A+, but Linux-y. And you eventually want to get the CCNA. This is an expensive cert, but it is really, really well known in the industry, and it will really teach you networking. Some people say to get the Network Plus instead of that. I because it's not specific to a particular vendor. But Cisco has got even with Palo Alto out there, Cisco has got networking locked up. I mean, they really do. So that's changing a little bit, but get the CCNA. It's well regarded as like a kick-ass hard cert to get. Almost every community college has a class in it. And then get your rest of your Linux stuff. These don't have to be in any particular order. But those are the certs I would get. If I wasn't going to go to college, I would spend my money on these specific certs. And I might still end up doing that, actually. These 3 certs I'm going to get next year. I just bought them. And I probably am going to get the Linux Foundation certs again for the purposes of helping y'all out. Because I want to help everybody get them. You don't need to get any certs to get a job. You just need to be able to create trust with your employer. So if you have an employer who will trust you without the cert, fuck it. You don't need it. You just do the stuff necessary to do that. But for most people, that's not true. Most people have to demonstrate they can do it. Do that stuff is. I made a video called "Why Certify." Please go check that video out. It's called "Why Certify," and it goes through when to get a cert and when not. So go look at that one. All right, back to the Code and Go. I only have a little time. I only got till like noon or so. So what we do, we reset our. And by the way, if you do know how to code in C and Go and everything, you better damn well have a bunch of it in your GitHub to show you can do it. So it's all employment is about trust, and you have to prove you can be trusted. Some people you have to prove it more with. So figure out where you want to work, what you want to do, and how to get them to trust you to pay you. That's it. There's really no secret to getting a job. The secret to getting a job is getting someone to trust you enough to pay you. The end. Whatever it takes to do that. And every single job and every single relationship is different. If you're going, straight through the front door and say, "Hey, trust me," you got a lot more work to do. If you got a buddy like I did who was in a place and said, "Man, we got to get you on our team," then that's a no-brainer. I didn't have any Kubernetes or experience, and they hired me anyway, off of the recommendation of this person primarily, but also because of the background I had. So I created a ton of trust just by knowing somebody on the team already. The point is, it's not complicated. You just have to create trust with your potential employer. Use that as your guiding light while you're trying to find your game. Where is it you're going to be spending the rest of your world, your time and effort? Where is that going to be? And I'm going to tell you, going to recruiters straight up is already a challenge, because now you have to create trust with the recruiter, and then the recruiter has to create trust with the potential employer. So you have multiple layers of trust and work to do. And if you're going to go that route, having a certificate and a degree and all that stuff helps, because people who don't know people tend to trust those methods, but there's actually much better ways to generate trust. Employment is about trust. Don't forget that. And then move there from there on. What am I going to be able to do that's going to help people to trust me to pay me for this? And I say it all the time, but that is the single most important takeaway from this. Should I get this cert? Should I go here? Should I work here? Should I learn this language? Where should I do? Should I put this here? All of those questions can be answered by one thing. Is it going to create trust with your potential employer? And you're like, well, I don't know where I want to work yet. Well, you got work to do then. If you don't have any idea about what kind of company you want to work for, you got no business asking questions about what you should learn. Unless, I mean, you can do the reverse, or I can say, hey, I really enjoy doing this and X and Y and Z. But then do the research to find the companies that do those things. Do the research, do the legwork. It will pay off, because in the interview, they'll see that you showed sincere interest in their company enough to research them before you had this fucking interview. Don't spam a bunch of recruiters a ton of resumes with generic languages and projects that you did with no direction about where you want to go, because they'll see right through that. They'll look at it and they'll go, this person is really talented and everything, but they have no fucking idea what they want to do with their life. You got to get over that. You got to make that decision up front, and then start deciding and targeting specific companies and going after those companies, or not, or finding friends who have companies that you feel are not too big a violation of your ethics, and then go for that. I mean, that's my regular rant about getting a job. So it just so happens that most employers, it's just easier to go to college and then blah, blah, blah. But this idea that the college didn't get me my job and shit, I hate that. Yeah, this college promised me they were going to job placement and blah, blah, blah. And now I don't have a job, and it's their fault. You're the one getting the job. It's ultimately balls on you, even if you spend all that money. That's just why I would never spend money out of college anyway. All right, so we got home. We got all our stuff here. I think we're actually done. We got a few bugs here still. 132. Why is that m.home? Map Struct has no field or method dir. Oh, right. We did home name file. So that one should go away. S keys is not up. I'm going to put it back on. Home redeclared in this block. 57. The previous declaration. Oh, that's in lib. Sorry. Home. Does that make sense? Oh, you know why? Because I declared it as an interface type. Yeah. I'm going to redo my interfaces. This is the thing that I do when the interfaces collide. When you're making accessors interfaces, I usually do has home, has name. This is a property. And you can sometimes do mutex. You could do metafile or something like that. You could do like home property or whatever your favorite thing is. I think the mutex is a different thing though. Yeah. Yep. As name influence a variable name to okay. Has home to match the has name. Alrighty. Was executable. Variable name. All right. Where I live, they don't have a degree or deep connections within a company. You won't get further than IT support. Education is cheap. Yeah. Well, yeah, I've noticed since I started streaming, there's quite a random, not a random, there's a very wide gap between how stuff is done in the States versus Malaysia or Europe or, Eastern, Slavic states. And there's just so much difference. And it's important that you figure out how your system works, honestly. But if you're an autodidact and you're aggressive, you'll figure it out. It's hard. Some places it's really kick-ass competitive. I hear in India it's crazy competitive right now. Um, my team is almost dominated. My extended team, not my immediate team, is almost dominated by Indians. People from India and Pakistan. There's so many people in machine learning and data science that that come from that region originally. I'm not. That's not meant to be racist. It's just a fact. I've just noticed it. There's a real concentration of of people. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It's a values thing. Like, Confucianism has influenced a lot of people in Asia, um, to take up things that are not, taken up elsewhere. So I don't know. I don't know. It's not the race. I'm not saying the racist thing like, oh, Asians are smart or something. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I've noticed that among the percentage of people that I work with, um, there's a much in IT and in medicine. There's a really high percentage of expats. I'm going to call it. Some of them are expats, some of them are not, and I don't know why that is. I think it's because Americans. Honestly, it's going to sound really bad, but I think Americans don't like hard work. Hard work. they like they like gritty work. I don't know. I can't look. I'm gonna get myself in big trouble. So it just has a lot of people. You think that's why? So the competition is higher. It could be. There's a million reasons, but what I want to know is why so many people in IT in the United States, including the CEO and vice president of Google and Microsoft now, uh, come from Indian descent. It seems like there's a cultural thing going on. This isn't racist. This is a culture thing, and I want to say that culturally that they value education and the hard sciences more. There's so many people specifically in machine learning and data science that are from in East Indian heritage. It's amazing. There's so many of them. It's like, dude, just go on YouTube and pull up like any random video about machine learning, pretty much. it's I can't quite figure. A lot of people plus need for U.S. companies and cheap to contract them. I think that's it. I do. I think that's what's happening. Plus, if you go to Montreal, oh my God, in Toronto or Montreal, you can get some of the. I love it because it's still culturally diverse up there. I've heard Toronto's getting really hard to live there though, because of the money. The cost of living is getting really high. My opinion, my impression is that a bunch of American companies are paying expats right across the border in Canada because they can get them closer to the States that way. And so they bring them in through Canada because it's easier to get into Canada. I have no justification for that, but to say that. I think it's easier to get people into Toronto and Montreal than it might be to get them into Silicon Valley. Plus the cost of living up till now was cheaper there. So the entire software division for IBM is in Toronto. All of it. So, you know, and if you haven't ever been, it's insane. So I can't find anyone yet. They keep looking for people with a bachelor's for web dev. Blows my mind. Yeah, people with a bachelor's for web dev. I know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think that's gonna change over time. I don't know how it'll change. It's gonna have to change. Can I? Because people just want the skills. Map 1.40. That's an argument to write. Cannot use M to type map as argument to write. Oh, right. Right. Lol. I need to find my other right method. I gotta move it up. Set, we're going to do, let's see, m.right. Yeah, we're going to change it. We're going to change it. Right. Here we go. Put you by func read. Let's see. Where did I put read? Where are you? There you go. Read and write. So read is now a method with a receiver. So map struct. And we're going to get rid of this and just return the error. Now it fulfills the interface. It'll be hidden in Map Struct. Mutex is hidden in Map Struct. No. No. The reason I made it public is because I wanted them to be able to lock it on their own if they want. So if somebody wants to lock the struct in order to do like a whole bunch of operations to it at the same time and then unlock it, that's why I have it that way. But that's up to them to do the right thing, right? But I see where you could get that impression, yeah, for sure, because yeah, that's a lot of internal stuff that you want them to mess with. This is going away. This whole thing has to go away. So make dir all directory. Let's do it. This would be m dot join path dot join m dot dir m dot home comma m dot name. All right, and then we can write it out. And this is m dot path. Yep. M dot path. That's all gotten a little bit easier. And writes it as a string. Okay, so what else we got? We have bash command template. You can totally use it. If you use command template, all I ask is you tell somebody, you just put in the top of your script or in the README even. It doesn't even have to be in the script. Thanks to rwxrob.tv for providing the original template. That's it. I just would like a little attribution for it if you're going to use it. You can copy and paste from it at will. It's Apache license. But the only reason I mention that is because most people forget about attribution. They think Apache and open source means they can just copy willy-nilly from it, and they can. But you can't do that without putting at least a minimal attribution to the thing. Usually, in the traditional way to do attribution is, script is kind of hard, right? But the traditional way to attribution is not just in the beginning, but it's also just like if you execute a version, you're supposed to list the credits for everybody where it came from. And in that particular case, you would just put copyright my name in addition to your copyright for your name. The copyright's what keeps it open for you to share it. So don't be afraid to list the copyright like that. So yeah, that's my legally, the legal attribution definition is supposed to be, you are supposed to say this has portions copyright blah 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 released under the Apache license. That's legally what they're going to get. I don't care. It's mostly just rwxrob.tv. I just want to have that because I would like to know when I don't have to have the credit, but it does help to know. The reason I bring that up is I also want to kind of educate people who don't know about FOSS. It's not just free software that you just copy and move. That's because then you'll end up being like Apple. Apple used BSD software under the BSD license, and they've never given attribution for any of their software that they use. It's completely illegal. They made trillions of dollars off of BSD software that Steve Jobs stole straight up from BSD Linux. gave it a new name, buried it all under there, and then there's no attribution anywhere. When's the last time you saw attribution in any Apple product, OS or tool that you've used that cited that the entire core kernel of the operating system came from BSD Linux? How many people on the street, if you were to ask, know that an Apple product is built on open source software at the core, not just on the extra stuff? Never. And you know what? Nobody has dared to take on Apple because they got so much money. They would just destroy any FOSS organization to try to come after them. But they are in 100% violation of the license by not sharing the fact that that license originated with them, and they continue to do it. They continue to do it. It's I don't like it. So the main reason that I say, hey, just remember, attribution is a part of the deal here. I mean, the only thing I'm getting out of this is attribution. That's it. I'm not getting paid by you using my software, and because it's Apache, you can even be paid for it. So the least you can do is at least tell people that pieces of this software came from my head or whatever. You know what I mean? I actually had a pretty good day. I'm going to be going away here in 40 minutes or so. So I'm just doing a little bit of Go programming. I'm going to go on a big old date with my wife today. How's it going, Arun? Keep a fork. That's very nice. Thank you. It would be nice to have legal content on Boost. I did one of my boosts. I went through a whole thing about licensing. There's just so many things to cover. So not enough arguments. The thing I keep pulled into is I'll like have a video like this is supposed to be about Go, and then I'll do like 4 other videos that if I had made like little vignette videos instead, I would have covered those topics and I had to cover them again and say go back and look at the videos. But then people don't find them because it's not organized and they ask again, which is totally fine. Not enough arguments in call to OS read file. Alrighty, if you say so. Oh, duh. I feel kind of dumb now. There we go. Too many arguments to return a 176. Oh yeah, we're only returning an error now. Yep, return parse buff. I think parse returns 2 things now too, so. Where are you, parse? Where's parse? Here we go. This returns a map struct and an error, which means I'm not going to be able to use it anymore down here. Yep. It means I'm going to have to do, wait. Oh, shit. I was afraid of this. I'm going to have to import that. Yeah. Fuck. This is gonna be hard because I let me tell you what I'm struggling with here. So this parse buff returns a new map, right? It returns a new one. I know what to do. I'll do parse into. And we'll say buff, and then we'll say M. That's what we need to do. Yep. Yep. So we have parse, and then we're going to need parse into. And it's going to return I'm wondering if I should just make it into a single thing. I can make it parse, I make it take an argument. If the argument is nil, make a new map. Let's do that. Yeah, I'll see that. That works. So map struct. No. This, God, fuck. If I do that, it has to be a map. Then I have to do a map. Then that means I have to set it with the set command, which is way too slow. No, I don't want that at all. A parse into, it would have to have a setter. It wouldn't have to be a full map though. Yeah, I can do that. And instead of this, I would be calling set though. I mean, it's a good example of thing. I don't know. I'm trying to decide whether I need to rewrite the whole parse algorithm. I don't want to. I can either add an input variable here. I'm making code, writing a Go program for configuration. Async what? Answer my questions. Async. Depends on what the questions are. Right now I'm doing Go coding though. So let's do this. I'm going to say you can pass something that fulfills a setter. That is why you pass interfaces. So, yep. We're going to say M is the setter, right? And then we can say this. We can say if, I mean, this is going to happen only once at the beginning, so it's not that much overhead. We can say if M equals nil, M equals new map, and now it fulfills it. So if you pass a nil, it'll still give you the same stuff out. If I do this though, then I have to change this, which is relatively fast, to use the set get interface, which is a level of indirection that's going to slow things down. But again, this is not designed to be super high performance. We already decided that when we went with the scanner splits and stuff. So in that case, all I need to do is m.set. But see, because I use the interface up here, I can't assume it's a map struct underneath. That's like really bad, right? So we can do this. M.set. But I want to show this. This is really important. So you see how I only had to specify it as being fulfilling the setter interface? I didn't have to say it was a full map. It could be anything that has the set interface. Anything. And that's super important. So parse construction returns a struct that fulfills the map interface from parse bytes. The data being parsed must comply with the required configuration data. Parse also accepts an optional setter an optional argument in order to pass in anything that fulfills. Oh fuck. I just realized it's going to return a map. It's going to return a map and not a map struct, which isn't horrible, but this might burn me later, because I think I call parse in other places. If I do that, it's going to force me to use the interface, and I don't want to do that. This is the whole. It's one of the hardest things for beginners to see. This is okay. Parse into M. No, this is fine because it just returns an error. Good. Okay, so I can push M there, and that'll fulfill it because it already is a map. A map struct fulfills map. I think it's going to probably make me cast map. This is going to be interesting because, yeah, I'm going to try this. We're going to see. Where's my other parse? Yeah. I'm going to have to return a map in order for this to work. It's either that or I could just return an interface and then have to be cast, and I don't want to do that. If I pass in a setter, then if I return M, I don't think I can do this way. I think it's either I have to pass in an interface, but the whole point is I want to make sure the interface has a way to be set, right? If I try to set stuff on the interface without casting, it's going to be a pain in the ass. This is the hardest part about interfaces to me. So for example, I'm passing in a setter, right? I have a feeling I have to either return a setter because that's the only thing I required, right? But if I do that, then whatever comes out of it from then on can only be used as a setter. If that makes sense. In which case I need to make this a map so that it has all the map stuff. But that means that the thing that comes out of parse can't be used in any way except as a map. So I can't do any of, I'd have to have an internal parser in addition to this. I'd have to have an internal parser if I wanted to do the Map Struct stuff. Which I might need to do. The parser is supposed to be a constructor. It also accepts optional argument in order to pass. I feel like this needs to be implemented as two different methods instead of the single method. I'm trying to do too much work here. Yeah. Yeah. I really don't need it at all. I don't need if I need yeah. I'm going to try that. This is going to blow up in ways that are going to be instructive. So, too many arguments to return map 178. Parse buff M. Right. So we need to do new. We need to do. See, the thing that gets returned should actually be a map. Actually, no, because I can do a cast here and have that be safe. Okay, I feel okay now. Okay, that freaked me out a bit. It's going to be the same reference is what's going to come out of here. Yeah. Yeah, I don't even need to fuck with it, honestly. I just need the error. This is going to work nicely. Okay. All right, that makes me much happier. Because I don't even have to move with M because I passed in a ref and it already did it. So I can just return M after this. I can return error. Yep, that's it. Because M was passed in as a ref and that fulfills the map interface. So that should work. That should actually work. New variables on the left side, 178. Right. All right. Yeah. Now this is interesting because now we're starting to hit the interface problems. I had a feeling this was going to happen. So, okay, we're getting all the errors from examples now. That's good, actually. That's good news. Good news. Example test, we got to get rid of all of this stuff. This can go away. we'll have a variation on this, but not that one. 61 sample map keys string name. I mean, it should all be the same. File, we need one for dir. I'll put that in a bit. Modifier is called the parse. This is the really interesting one. Okay, so parse. Oh, and then this needs a nil. Yep. Let's see if that works. Conf 78. Okay. We're gonna have to add parse stuff that that doesn't have a nil. We're probably gonna have a no. 87. I don't know. Let's try this. 87. This is an idiom I've seen before in other Go code in standard library, where they'll pass in the thing to put it into that already exists, so you don't have to make a new one. The reason you want to do that is if you were to make a new one and overwrite the receiver reference, it would disconnect the thing from every place else, and you'd have massive nil pointer errors all over. So you don't want to do that. You want if you wanted to actually put whatever it's parsing or something new into the thing, you need to pass it in. Now you could make the argument where fuck. I just answered my own question. That needs to be a method. That needs to be a method, for God's sake. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. I'm glad we did the testing. I know exactly what it should be now. Yep, just like read and write, it needs to be a method on map. I don't like using this much OOP, but whatever. It's not true OOP, right? So what I really needed to do, where's map? This will be so much cleaner if I do this way. It'll be so much cleaner. So if I turn this into a receiver function, like all the rest, it's going to be a lot better. It'll look less weird. This will look a lot less weird. So this isn't constructing a new map struct. This is, okay, you made a map struct. Now let's load some data into it, right? Accepts optional arguments in order to pass. So parse. Parse adds. Okay, so this all needs to go into the parse interface. Now, yep, I'm gonna need to have it be parsable. Yep, which is good. This is this kind of change I need to make. This is really, really good. Type parser interface. All right, so parser implements a parse method that parses data into the internal struct. Parses data and adds the new key, and adds the key value pairs to the internal struct from parse bytes. The data being parsed must be complied. Yeah. Parse. The parse method must be additive and must overwrite any existing values already set. It must not delete any existing values that are not being overwritten. So this is the contract that I have with anybody else who wants to make one of these. Code by contract kind of thing. This is why interfaces are so fucking awesome, because now anybody can make something that fulfills the interface and just plop it in anytime a parser is passed. Okay, so no, I want to be able to have people parse in other data from other sources and then have it added so that it's not just in the constructor. If I were to do what you're suggesting by having it just do it in the constructor, then in order to combine data from two configuration sources, I'd have to create two of them and create a join of some kind, which is also a nice thing to have. I might add that eventually. But you know what I mean? Consistent architecture, yes, they are. So by doing this parse, this is kind of an import, right? So you can have your configuration by default. You can go out to GraphQL or whatever you want, the internet, grab new values, pull those values in and add them, and then save them to state, and then they all get added. So it's, in that sense, it's going to be adding it. I don't need that anymore. All right, so parser implements the parse method that parses data and adds the key equals value pairs to the internal struct from parse bytes. The parse method must be additive and must override. Did I do that right? It must overwrite any existing values already set. It must not delete any existing values that are not being overwritten. The data being parsed must comply with the following requirements for configuration data. All right, this is good. Let me just now I don't have to deal. I can just return an error. We're good. So conf.parse is a thing now. And I just have to add a parser, reader, writer, parser. And then I can do, yeah, that's good. The thing about it is now we've got, everything's on the struct. Everything's hanging off the struct now. The new map is the only constructor now, which is good. You don't want multiple constructors because then people will get confused about which one to use. So I'm feeling really good about this. It also means I can put the constructor back where it belongs, which is right under the map struct definition, so people can see what happens to it when they get a new one, as opposed to just, the zero values. And I can return this off. This is cleaning up very nicely. I'm super happy I did this. So read, write, and parse. And I don't have to document these two things because these are no longer, this is a private struct, so you don't have to document them. You just have to use new to get it. The other thing about this too is I don't need this anymore either because I had the map already. So don't need it. In fact, I can do M back here and it's going to be much more efficient. Yeah, this is good all around. It's going to be more efficient. It's going to be cleaner. We just return the error now. Don't have to happen because it affects the internal state of the receiver, which is the map struct. All right, so too many arguments to return. Parse undefined parse line 12 to 11. What? Oh right, m.parse. Pardon me. And now I don't have to worry about things getting blown out here. Oh my God, this is so awesome. Much better. Tell me I'm going to return. 2, 3, 1. Oh yeah, because I started putting all that stuff on error. What? Oh, map 231. Oh, that's it. Why is there a service? Oh, nil. Right, we're not doing anymore. We're just returning an error. This is so much cleaner. Map test. Okay, can I use Map Struct and type map? Yeah, I figured. Yeah, so that's a different error. It's testing map. Testing map, func map. Oh, this is to help me test whether if it fulfills the interface or not. If map does not implement map. This little thing here, this is a nice little trick. If you're new to Go, putting a localized test like this is a really great way to trigger failures to fulfill the interface that normally aren't triggered in regular tests. If you just add that, after you've done an interface, that will catch if you tried to make a struct that doesn't fulfill the interface fully. Otherwise, you won't catch it until prod. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate you can have stuff go all the way out that doesn't fulfill the interface and not catch it, unless that's kind of a forced trigger of that. So map struct does not implement map, wrong type for parse method. See that? So this tells me exactly where I'm incompatible. You won't get that error if you don't add this little piece of code right here. So just a note on that. That's why I have it there. So I did something about my implementation of parse incorrectly. Oh, right. So I defined parse incorrectly in my map interface. In my interface. Yeah. It needs to take a variable. And I forgot to put that. So this needs to take byte slice. So, yeah, there we go. And now there's no such thing as conf.parse anymore because our tests are all different now. That's totally fine. Can't find 102.2. All right, so these are all totally different now. I'm gonna have to change them all. How much time do I got? Half an hour. Oh, this is so much better. I can't tell you how peaceful I feel inside. I was kind of struggling about the difference between function and struct, and this is all just going to be a map now. It's just a map struct in one interface. So this is very, very clean. I can add joins and things like that, import and all that later. Example map file, no. Parse. All right, parse. So first of all, there is no such thing as conf.parse any longer. That doesn't exist. So now what we need to do is figure out a way to do this. We're going to actually need to make a new one, which is fine, right? A newly initialized new map. It's an empty map. And you could call it init, but we're going to call it parse. And so instead here, we do this. We say error equals m.parse, and we get rid of this nil down here. And now we have kind of a object-oriented way to do it a little bit better. That should fulfill that one. Yep. So that fixed that. So what we get is we get an empty map, and then we parse a bunch of data into the map. So that makes me very happy because that's very, very consistent, very easy for people to get. It's like, okay, I want a new map, and it's been initialized. Right now I'm going to load some data from these 5 different places, right? And then I'm going to save it. Maybe I'll even change where I save it. So it's kind of a pseudo mini database to be able to combine, key value stores, which is what I always wanted. And it's really efficient. It's really fucking efficient. So example parse error, it could be more if I kept my C-like parser, but I went with the scan lines, and that's fine. It doesn't matter. I have to do the same thing here though now. So I'm going to need to do this here. Change this to m.parse and get rid of this nil. Somebody smarter than me might have saw that model, that design earlier on, but it took me, going through it to find it. But I'm super happy. It just looks so much better. The example looks this trailing nil is just like fucking ugly. It looks like PHP. Sorry. I mean, or Python. Python, you can let you omit them, I guess, but. All right, so m.parse, get rid of this nil. That one's fine. 103. Got it again. Conf.new map. And this, people have done Java. That was broken before, so that's better now. 134. You know what? You know what caused me to see the better design? Example tests. When I started going into the example test, I started seeing, why do I got this ugly nil at the end? Why don't I just add a map? And I didn't see that until I started looking at this from the perspective of the end user. And I call it user-driven testing or usage-driven testing, but I really think it will help better designs come out earlier if you do it. This, in my opinion. Um, I like the parsing being a second step. I'm not going to put optional things here, and that's not the go way to do that. Um, People in Python world do that all the time, and that's bullshit. People come to Go and code it like Python, and they fuck up all the time, including me, because it's not about jam packing 10 different routes within a single method. It's about making 10 different methods to do that one thing really well. But Go has inherited the one best thing idea from Unix philosophy because of Pike and Ken Thompson. Other things have not. They try to stuff everything into a single fucking method. I hate that. Thank God C doesn't do that. C is very much one best method usually. 134. Comp dot right. Oh no, now it's M dot right. Yep. Now it's M dot right. That's so much cleaner, isn't it? Yeah, it is. You know it is. All right, so M dot right. I wouldn't have been okay with that until the object struct, whatever you want to call it, had its own internal knowledge of where it was going to be written, its own dir file. And I don't like any methods that depend on external data. It just pisses me off. I don't like that because it makes it really hard to test. So 152, conf.read, we don't need that anymore. Nope. Example read. Hell, we can just do error equals m.read. Hey, Vera. Oh boy, I'm so sorry. Apartment related? I hate Uncle Bob. I can't stand him. I can't even put him in front of me on my screen for 2 seconds. He's probably done some very good things in his life. I don't care. I really don't care. Oh man. Sorry to hear it, dude. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Vera. I should probably check in on my parents. I haven't talked to them forever. This Trump thing just made it so I couldn't even communicate with them. And I was like, no. Like, you just don't understand. And oh, it is very sad. It's sad. You know, it's just a different, I guess my view of death is, I don't get sad at death. I know that's so weird. I know that's really weird to say. I mean, I get really sad about pain. It's like when my son was in really serious pain. He got his head run over by a Ford F-150. And I rushed on Christmas. That's just a true story. On Christmas, I rushed back to try to see him before he died. And he didn't die. He lived. He's college now. It's a miracle. It's a fucking miracle. But that's a story all by itself. But that was the only time. And it wasn't the fact that he might die that made me sad. What was sad was the pain that he was going through. Yeah. You got to fly back at some point to deal with it all. Last remaining air. Oh, boy. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear it. That's very sad. Yeah. Yeah, it's, the thing about death that always freaks me out is I always wonder how I'm going to face it. You like to think how you would react when you're faced with death. You like to think, but until it actually happens, you don't know. This is one of the reasons I think people who go through near-death experiences have kind of a leg up on the rest of us, because they've experienced themselves in the absolute true I am dying state, and so they can come to terms with how they would behave in that moment, whether or not they did it well. I mean, and I don't want to visualize this for too many people, but there's so many different ways to go out, right? And And there's so many different emotions that you could have on your way out. Do you peacefully go out even if you have pain? Do you scream, in terror as you're about to die? I mean, you guys have seen that stuff. That stuff is terrifying. And so how, what is the emotional state of the person who's passing? That's the aspect of death that intrigues me the most. I think most people at the end of the day would be more afraid of the pain of death than actually dying. I think that's what it's about. And most of the time it's imagined, right? So, I'm really afraid of drowning, but I hear drowning is one of the most peaceful ways to go. So, I don't mean to laugh. I don't mean to make light of it, but it's a big topic, man. It's all over in our mythos and everything. Example test. Let me got one more test here to do. So we got print a new one. No, we should be. No, we could just print M again. Yep. Yeah. People in the military have faces constantly. Yeah. Part of me thinks that you should do that. The closest I've ever come to it was when I was a river guide. I became a river guide because I was terrified of the water because of bad experiences as somebody swim teaching about drown me. And I became a river guide in my 20s. And I remember flipping my rig around Elkhorn, for example, this huge rock in the middle of the water at low water at the end of the season. It could wrap a rig and drown every single person in the raft. It would just churn them forever. And it's just terrible, horrible. I can't get out kind of death. It's so terrifying thinking about. But we would flip that thing around, and it was up to me to keep all these people alive and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying it's the closest experience that I've ever had to. It's nowhere near a military experience, but that was a moment when I knew that if I made a mistake, I and people that I was responsible for would die. And that kind of pressure just really centered me. God, the ability to like deliver in the face of that kind of thing. I knew there's like this particular set of like spins you had to do to your thing to get yourself to tilt your point right in to go right down the slot. And if you didn't get it in right, you would wrap or you'd trigger out, at least one person to go in. And I just remember all of that fear and anxiety and everything and all the preparation all combined to I could execute right away. And I imagine that's the way it is for military. That's the only reason I bring it up. Military, they've been so trained in everything that it's not like they're afraid of death. It's just like their instincts just kick in, Causing the death of innocence has always scared me. I would hate to do that. Yeah. And that's why I mentioned my little experience here, because I would have been directly responsible for killing innocent people in my raft if I had fucked it up. And I was new. It was my first time. They had no idea. These people were looking at me, fun kind of afterthought after that. The number one issue with military is the first firefight. Yeah, you see that in Hollywood all the time, where people, when they have that very first engagement and they have a hard time with it after that, and after their first one, then they're like, they kind of get into it. You never know how someone will never been in the yeah. And the thing that sucks about the military, it's not sucks, but it's like, if they fail, you die. Yeah. Yeah, no matter how bad. That's exactly the point I'm making, Billy. That's exactly the point I'm making. Is just like, it's not death that's scary. What's scary is like not knowing how you would react in that moment until it happens. It's like this unknowing. You want to say that you're going to be badass and you're going to be cool and everything's going to be nice and clear and everything, or that you're going to pass out peacefully in spite of pain, or that you're going to be able to keep it together. But there's so many different ways to go out. So, a little weakling and everyone hates could become the hero. Yeah. I dated a girl like that. I dated a 20-year-old gunner. She was fucking amazing. Anyway, that's, yeah. But if you're going to bed in your sleep, or I think in your old age, a lot of times, I think the old age death is more about consistent, perpetual pain. People just want to check out. That does kind of scare me though, because I really like having control of my faculties. The first time somebody has to change my diaper, I don't know if I can make it through that. I mean, I was like, no, just put a bullet in my head now. I don't care. If someone has to change my diaper, come on. I'm done. That's horrible to say it. I know. I am not judging anybody who's gone through that. And it's not even the whole diaper thing. What it really is it's the absolute, total, complete dependence on another person. And I got to get over that. Oh, hey, are we done?
No, I'm going to Aldi's first.
Are you going to Aldi's first?
Yes.
Oh, you're coming for money. You sure are cute.
Thank you.
You going with black?
Yes.
We're going to match.
Good. All right. I'll be back in a bit.
Okay. I got to go on a date here pretty soon. My wife's all pretty. So, let's see. Default file want this got default file path got nothing. I'm like discombobulated now. I can't focus. I should probably just turn this video off. What am I building? The same question. Just a configuration file handler. Tell this everything. Oh, it's my wife. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry to hear that, Billy. Younger and freakier. Your criteria might be in need of adjustment. Just saying. I got nothing to say. I went through it, so I got no advice. no advice for me on that topic. The topic of women. It's so great. Oh, my friend. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. It was great. Yeah. I cannot comment. This video is going to go out live and get saved. So, example map file, default file path. What is going on? Oh, that's a different example though. All right, default file path. So, no, we said it's like a file name. We say file name. Yeah, this should be. Oh, that's not right at all. That's not right at all. That should be. Wait. Yep. No, I got it. This is busted. This is busted. Busted. No, this should be path. Let's do path. Path. Yep. Default file path, and this should be path. That might make that one pass even. Map file. No tests around. What the fuck? Oh, right. Test data says file directory. Configure test values. Want bar. Example right. Lots of testing fixes. These are tiny fixes though. You just gotta have your 19-year marriage. Oh boy. So you gotta go younger. I know that. Look, I do not want to judge you because I did it, and then thank God I found somebody who got my references finally. I got no negative feelings at all about the people I dated before I got married to my soulmate, which I don't use lightly, but that was one of the greatest. Somebody who actually came from the same era. You know what I'm saying, right? It's like you make tiny little comments that have been injected in your head from years of TV and advertising and all kinds of stuff, and they're like, "What? What's up? What are you doing? What's up? What's up? Where's the beef? Beef? We're vegetarian." Is it like hooking? Oh God. To play hooky. Play hooky. I wouldn't have guessed that one. People don't know how to play hooky. Oh my God. What kind of world is this? Disastrously bad world. People don't know what hooky is anymore. That's come to think of it though. That's a very like 1940s word that our boomer parents just repeated. Yeah, yeah, I could see that being a thing. Little executable. Uh, Default file name will say. Oh my God. Um. Um. Name m.name. Yeah. Good over. There's actually like all the ads of like the 70s or 80s. You can go on YouTube and you can see like a big string of all the ads. If you just want like to go through nostalgia lane, it is so fun. It's really fun because it's just all the stuff that you totally forgot that you forgot. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just successor stuff, so I don't need to mess with this. File. Actually, let's change the file to be other. How about that? And conf-go. No, this should be values. This should be other. Oh, we still need to do the right though. Let me fix that one. I'm just fixing tests. This is kind of boring stuff. I get it, guys. But I need to fix them all up. This code is already done. And I just need to do some testing and doc write up, and this project will be finished. And I like where it ended up actually. So OSA set map, new map, bar, right. We're going to read the test file, configuration to config value, test go values. The output should have been bar open test with no such file or directory. That's not good. That means the right failed. So we need to test the right. Something's not right with right. Lull. I'd probably test the path and all that stuff first. Let's do that first. So let's do map name. Oh, well, that's why. All right. We're checking out the name. Subdirectory name. Pass. Okay. And then we need the file and then the file and the directory. That's what we're not testing. We're not testing the directory. Yeah, I gotta do that. I gotta do that right here. Yep. Mapter default config. No, that's home. It's home, right? It's home now. Map home default config. Home name. So home. Set home. Home we could probably do is like temp config. This is like busy work, but got to do it. Some body. Default config home name. It's gonna be tough because I'm gonna have to set the environment variable. Yep. Where is it? Here we go. Yep. All right. Wait, where did that come from? Oh, that was just conf.home. Yeah, gotcha. So home rob dot config and name default subdirectory name. Oh, that's not good. Oh yes, no, that's fine. That's fine. Subdirectory name. I got the wrong thing. Yeah, that's the subdirectory name. That's right. That's right. Oh, conf-go.test. It's named after the executable by default. That's why it's doing that. So this should pass now. Please pass. Yes. Okay. So then we have the home. Yeah, there we go. Default config home is lat. That does not look good. Config home. Home, set home, m.home. Default config home, no. Oh, you know what happened? I set the environment variable above and it affected it. This is a pain in the butt. Yep. This should be home artifacts from. Yeah. I mean, you know, want temp config. That means it's busted. It be broke. You know why? Because we didn't set it in the constructor. Hey, look, testing actually works. It caught a bug. Who would have thought? God bless testing. Yeah, I'm not setting home the default value on here. See? m.home. m.home equals home. And limit necessary. You know what? I don't even think I need that anymore. God damn, this is getting really good. I can just use user config directory. I don't even need conf-to-home, even as a shortcut. Less code is better code. I just ripped that shit out. Yep. I'm gonna say path error equals os dot user config dir derp. If there's an error, then what? Where should we set it to? I mean, we just leave it blank, I guess. We can do the conditional on this one. So if we actually fetch it properly, then we'll set it to the path. Otherwise, we'll just be blank. And that's not good, but it's not bad either. M dot, let's see, these in order. This one comes here. What is this? Oh, that's the name, right? So we have the path. So this is m dot home, and this one is m dot name, and this one is m dot file. Shit. All right. So, and m dot file is just values. Yeah, file, whoops. That's the default. Set all our defaults to do. I see a terminal user must be Haxer. I actually have to get ready. I have to have a shower. My wife's gonna come back and be like, "Why aren't you ready?" Because I'm wrapping up my test case. Conf.home, we don't need it. I no longer need it. I'm super happy that I don't need it anymore. I am. Not even gonna lie. We do need to have this home needs to be a thing. Yeah, I'm gonna need to be able to check the XTG or whatever and have it change it. X free desktop. Was it FF? Is it XF? Was it XF home config? Config home? I can't remember which one it is. XFD. Is it XDG? Thank you. I brain farted. XDG. Thank you. Print the default config home. And then yeah. Set home, print home. What is our test going to look like? Example home, default config. It's still not doing it right. It's not. Default config home, it should be m.home. It seems like it's not being set properly. Why not? Come on, Rob. I need to do this. I gotta go. Home. Everything seems new. Oh, you know why? I know why. Oh, I did. There it is. Name, home file. It should be fine. So, what? I feel like it's not even getting called. I know what I'll do. We'll print raw. Yup. Where's our example? Alrighty. Actually, I'm gonna do example map raw. Yeah, that's gonna be good. I need all of these anyway, so I gotta do them. Output. God damn it. Fuck. Some. M equals a new conf map. FFT println m.raw. Go back here and do the raw. Yep, empty map. What? No. Oh. Yes. No, that's exactly what we want. Yeah. Because that's just the map. That's not the other stuff. I wasn't planning on this, but I'll do it anyway. Set foo and now it should be something else. It should be map foo. Yeah. Map foo. That's going to pass. I forgot that doesn't get the meta variables, so that's not the test I wanted. Keys does the right thing. String does the right thing. All right, so we need X. Holy cow, thank you for the tips. The bits, 300 bits there. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That's great. I love the help. So we do example map home here. Home RDBX Rob. Default config home. Home. We need to do that. Why isn't it printing it? I want to say it's not printing it at all. M.home. M.home should be a value. All right, fine. Fuck it. I'm gonna make multiple examples. Example map home default. And this should be home RDBX rob / dot config. So then I do is this. I make a new config map and I print it. Final m dot home. And that should be fine. So let's do home for default. Yep, that is a fail. That is very specifically a bug. So time for me to find it. Either the accessor is doing it wrong or it's not getting set. I should probably do a new map test. Do I have that already? Map interface. Why do I not have a new one? That should have been the first one. Example parse. We did all that. Parse, write, read. I don't have a new one yet. God damn it. All right, that's the first one of all, of course. I gotta have the constructor. Fuck it, if I don't have the constructor. Funk. I'm gonna do this fast because I'm gonna get in trouble. New map. We're gonna go ahead and set the environment variable because I want control of that, and that's picked up by os.userconfigure. So m equals conf.newMap, and then I don't think I can. Actually, I do. I think I can print it. Yep. I'm gonna do new map. Something redeclared in this block. What the fuck? Where is it redeclared? Where are you redeclared? Oh, there you are. Wait, I guess I already had it. Fine. Fine. Except for I want this. All right, so let's test you out. How are you passing? Wait, I put a print line in there somewhere. It's gonna fuck me up. I always do that. Don't do that. Don't be me. So that should not have passed. All right, so we're gonna make it fail. Come on, I gotta do this fast. Shit. All right, so we've got home rob blah 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 blah. New map set foo. We got all that. I got all the specific variables. We got the JSON. What I don't have is the values shit. Let's do that. So FFT println, I need my metadata. So I need to print the m.home. I need to print m.dir. No. Name and file. And by default, they should be values conf-go.test and home rbx rob. And if they're not, they're wrong. /.config. If that's not what they are, they're wrong. We'll go to 3 there. Yeah. Wow, it's like really. Oh, you know what? It's running often because it's updating the test directory. Yeah, I know why it's doing that. Just give me a sec here. Slow lib underscore test. I need to do my cleanup again. Yeah. That's probably why it was failing. But I don't know. I mean, I think that's why it's failing. It's got an infinite loop. My GOT's got an infinite loop. Because the directory is getting re-updated. So, let's do run new map. Do only a test on that. Conf-go is test. So home is failing. Home is failing. Home is like seriously failing, and I don't know why. You know what? And we're not printing out the errors, so that's what's going on. I wonder if I should panic it. I probably should. Right now it's setting it to nothing because this is returning an error and I'm not printing out with the errors. I should probably, let's do this. Let's do log.print, which goes to F. Let's do this. Let's do this. Path. Oh fuck. I could do m.home actually. m.home comma error. os.userconfig.dir. If error is not equal nil. We're gonna log it. We're gonna print the error. We're gonna log the error. So that's not fatal. It goes to standard error. And that's informational. It doesn't get too much in the way. And that's it. So yeah. Wait, what? There's no error defined up here. m.home. I don't understand what's in that. Expected error left side of the almost doing. Yeah, I actually have to do this differently. I'm going to have to declare the var. This is a really big trap, by the way, because one of them is being defined and the other one isn't. So that's the way to do that. Undefined error 148. Oh, I have it reversed. Pass. What? Why isn't it printing it? I don't. Oh, wait. I must have fixed it. How did I fix it? I mean, let's break it and see. So, yeah. Okay, it is right. I fixed it. All right, so that makes me happy. So that one's done. All right, so oh god, I gotta go shower. Example map raw. All right, God. So our new value is all set. So that's good. So this is all good. Good map. That was the big one. All right, so then we have that. Then we have raw. We did that already. Keys did that. String did that. Defaults did that. Home default. So let's do map home default. I bet that passes now. I bet so. Why is that not working? Oh, it is working. It is working. Huzzah. I have a problem. Yeah, we know, Rob. All right. Config home. All right. So home and name is working. What was the first time you heard about it? In 2014, when TJ Holowaychuk, who made Express from the MERN and MEAN stack of web development, wrote Farewell to Node. And he had this huge, wonderful blog about why he was switching to a real language called Go. And the guy's a genius, so I immediately switched and looked at it. That was the beginning. Really glad I did, because it put me way ahead of everybody else. I should have been developing like cloud native software because that's what everybody was doing it with, but I didn't. I have one other thing. Values default executable name. We're gonna get to an end state here. Default file. Do you know importing in shell takes a screenshot? That is not true. Oh, it's the first time you ever heard of I was just like a front end at work. But I understand the language and it's fun to watch. Yeah. I mean, do whatever you need to do, you know. I have to code lots of Python at work, and I don't like it at all, but I have to do it. Map path. We're so close to being done here. Okay, so this I really need to make sure I do this though, because the test won't be independent if I don't. I have to set the environment variable because it might be changed between tests, and that would fuck stuff up. This one doesn't need it. This one doesn't need it. Home definitely does. File and path here definitely needs it. I don't need any of this. I can just print about path. That should pass. Yep. 93. Oh, whoops. Yep. All right. So that's like a full test pass. So a couple things I have to add here. I want to show people that they can change XDG config, and that will change stuff up. And I'll be done for today. And I just need to polish it up and package it. It's all done. It's all packaged. X temp, let's see, temp my XDG config. I mean, that's not getting written anywhere, so. Do my home, and this should be temp my XDG underscore config. That should still pass. Fuck. Wait, what happens to the default one? I busted something. Oh, you know why? Because I set XDG config. Yeah. I have to unset that by the end. Yeah. Because it affected everything else. That's what happened. How do you delete environment variables? I don't remember it. I think it's unset. Yeah. Unset. Wait. Unset. If I don't do this, it'll fuck everything else up. That's why it was doing that, because it perpetuates between each use case for the test. Yeah. So we're talking about there's no unset env. All right. So now just the one's failing. Okay. Home config. Good. Oh, wait. It's not doing the right thing. You know why? Because it set it at creation. It set it at creation. That's what I wanted it to do. Because it caches it. It caches it when it's created. Oh, I need to think about that for a second. Learn Java? Maybe. I don't like it, but I don't know whether it's better to cache the location of the home directory when it's created, or to I think we need to cache it. That's what's happening though. That's what I'm trying to show, is that it's being cached. So I'm going to put cached cached home. I want people to see that that's a thing. That's super important. So it does not change it. So yeah, it would still be home rbx rob /.config. We need to do xdg and new too, by the way. Where is the new? Did we do that in here? We need to check new down. I need to show them about new in here. To do add xdg config home example. That will be more useful. Okay, because down here it does get cached. So it's getting cached, and so it's like, nope, still that. I'm going to say cached home. And then down here we could say changed home. And that should be this. See, this is really important because I forget how it even works. So we wanted to see that. We wanted to see that even though they changed xdg config home, the cache didn't change, and so it kept it. So after a config map has been made, it caches its home location at the point of construction. It doesn't change over time. You have to explicitly change it, which I want. But if you want to change it, you can. You could just go change the home variable with set home or something, and then that'll change the path from that point on. But what I do need to show, it's the last thing I need to show, and I'll be totally done, is that when you make a new one, that you get this, right? Example map. Okay, I'm going to do another one. So I want to do func example new map xdg home. All right, so this says if you set the xdg, then it will also pick it up. So you can set the xdg home to temp config, and then everything else from that conf.newMap will be there. Output. I want people to see the defaults, and I'll just print the path. So I'll do m dot, let's see, println m dot path, and that will print out temp config conf-go dot test / values. Config temp config. Oh, you know what happened? I didn't do the unset. Yeah. All right. All right. That's good enough for me. Spring Boot. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Java at all. I might learn it for Android development, but that'd be the only reason I would ever use it. There's tons of work in Java. Don't let me make a mistake. You want to learn a language that's guaranteed to get you a job that, yeah, learn Java. All right, time for me to save this. I got just enough time. Okay. Git diff. What did I change? Lots of stuff. All right, so All right, so we move functions back in into map methods. That's the main thing we did there. That was a big deal. So I mean, we made a lot of changes. So git push. You can go check this out if you want to. It's on conf-go. This is on the main branch. And I'm going to go ahead and tag this v0.8.3-working. When it's all finished, I'm going to be dropping the working tag, and which will make it the new default. And so people will have to have hard-coded in the previous tag versions, which they should. That's what Go does by default. If they want to use the other stuff that uses JSON. This is not using JSON anymore. So that's it. That's it for today. I'm going to go ahead and shut down. I'm going to go have a shower, go have a date. Instagram, RWXRob, if you want to follow along with our date and our murals, pictures. It's just art, yoga, and life on my Instagram. It's no tech stuff. Although there's a really funny, somebody tagged me in Instagram of their dog. I'm down in the corner of their 60-inch television screen, and the dog is freaking out. He cannot figure out who this little person is. It's so crazy. Hi, by the way. Hi, puppy. Because the dog was like smelling the screen and like looking all around. It's really funny. So that made me feel good and sort of terrified that I'm on people's 60-inch television sometimes. So I am who I am. I will see you guys later. I may be back tonight to play a little Witcher. Probably not 3 hours of Witcher. I got to shave the time on that so I can do other things, including the boost. And that's all I have to say about that. Bye.